will take this opportunity to have this Digital Publishing Summit today to speak quickly, and I will take only 10 minutes, about something I've been working on with the Italian Union of Publishers, AIE, and under the auspices of the Federation of European Publishers. It's called the TDM Reservation Protocol, and here is the context of the initiative. So, imagine that you are a publisher in Europe. You must know that from now on, your content can be mined by everybody freely, without any contract, if it's exposed on the web. That's a fact. But the accessibility, the European DSM, so the Act about Digital Single Market, allows you to opt out. And this is what can be interesting. It allows you to opt out, but we added something that allows you also to make some deals with data miners, which is more interesting. So, some precision. There is in the DSM directive an Article 3 that provides an exception for text and data mining for scientific research. And this, you don't have any way to escape. So, researchers can mine your content on the web. So, your content on the web can be abstracts, covers, metadata, whatever, the whole catalog. Or free books that you offer. It can be mined. And the Article 4 of the same DSM provides another exception for text and data mining, but for every use other than scientific research. And the second exception applies until you, rights holders, reserve your rights. It's an opt-out, not an opt-in. So by default, the content is open, but you can say, no, I don't want. And the DSM says, in appropriate manners, including machine-readable means. So it can be any way. You can say, you can shout, you can make some text somewhere that nobody will read, or you can make some machine-readable thing that will expose to machines in front of you that you don't want your content to be mined. So we have designed a machine-readable mean. The goal was to provide a technical solution for publishers using this opt-out feature. We want it optimized for the web, and we want it very simple to implement by everybody. Publishers, distributors, bloggers, everybody. Optionally, we want also to facilitate the acquisition of rights of mining by TDM miners, so facilitate the way to make deals between miners and rights holders. We created a W3C Community Group for that in February 2021. We obtained a good crowd of 35 members in this community group. It was co-chaired by Giulia Marangoni from the IE and me, and now Giulia is replaced by Paola Mazzucci. And, well, we worked during 1 year on technical specifications for that. We wanted to be KISS compliant, meaning keep it simple, stupid. And for that, we wanted to have only two properties, indications that you want or not to have your rights reserved. So one property, TDM reservation, only two values. It's a Boolean, 1 or 0. And one other property, TDM policy. This is the optional way to provide guides to make a deal with TDM miners. And this TDM policy property is a URL pointing to some machine-readable information that expresses what you, as a publisher, are ready to do. One protocol, one model, and three techniques, three web techniques, like in robots.txt, to adapt to different needs, different web architectures. One is to provide these two properties inside the HTTP header of any exchange, any resource that you provide. Another one is to provide a central file which has all the information for all the resources that you provide. And the third one is to provide this same information in HTML metadata if the resource is a web page. So 3 quick examples. If the information is in the HTTP header, you see on the bottom the 2 properties. TDM reservation is one, TDM policy is a URL that goes to a JSON information. We will see that later. If it's in a centralized JSON file, it's some JSON, don't read it, but you see that for all articles, you want to reserve the right. For all open articles, you want to reserve the right, but you are ready to make something, some deal with the people. And for all the open images, you don't want. So I should change the name of the closed images, I should say. You don't want to offer this reservation. No, sorry, I reverse. For the last one, TDM reservation 0 means you don't reserve. So it's why they are open. And this file is located in a repository of the web server, well-known repository. So the TDM miners, robots, will be able to find it easily. And if you put the information in the HTML header, well, it's a meta header with exactly the same property, with exactly the same value. So it's something that anybody, any blogger, any publisher, any distributor can implement on a website. About this licensing policy, if you say, okay, I want to reserve my right, but I'm ready to make a deal. So first, it's optional because the DSM directive doesn't speak about that. So it's something that we have added for our industry, not because of the directive. It's a profile of something that is an international standard called EDRLab. So we have taken something that was existing, not to reinvent the wheel. We have simplified it because we want it to be KISS compliant. And we have made a specification of what people can express with that. And it's a file that is just placed on a web server, and you have the URL that points on it. And for that, with that, you can express who to contact to ask for a license, and what the publisher, what you as a publisher will request. Will you request just to be contacted, or you will request a payment, maybe, or anything else? And this is an example of the JSON that I'm talking about, this EDRLab JSON. Okay, it's a structure, but you see that there is a type. This is an offer. The publisher offers to, and the publisher gives his own address. I'm there. Here is my email, and you can call me there, and you can contact me on the web there. And here is what I allow you to do. I allow, in this case, you to mine the content if I consent. So you must contact me, I must say yes, and then you will be able to mine. So it's the machine-readable way to express some policy. And now, where are we? So the technical phase was achieved in February, so just one year after we started. We have put these technical specifications on the W3C website. We have developed prototypes with a publisher and a TDM miner to be sure that everything was acceptable. So Kern Info in France is an academic publisher, academic distributor, and Seraphin Legal is a TDM miner in the legal space. And now we are in the phase of dissemination. We try to say, hey, it exists. Publishers, you can put it on your web server today. And even if the decrees are not passed in your own country, it will soon come. So now it's time to say to TDM miners, when they bug your website, just be careful, I've got that online, and you must be aware of that. So a publisher choosing this protocol is protected by the Article 4 of the DSM, and all TDM miners who usually want to avoid any legal uncertainty will be very happy if they know that it exists, to follow the rule and to check these two small properties to know if they are allowed to mine your content or not. Voilà, that's all. So I wanted you to be aware, and I told you it was short. It's good. Are there some questions about this? Yes, Gregorio. Please.
Hi, thank you. So since there are different libraries for doing scraping online, are you planning to, I don't know, open issues on these libraries to tell them that the protocol exists and they should implement it in some way? As for robots.txt, they've already implemented it.
So. If you speak about libraries code?
Yeah, libraries code. And services for scraping. I mean, there are like 10
yes,
or 20 most used.
From what we know, everybody has a different way to make a robot that scrapes content. So we don't exactly know what could be the best way to create a library. Séraphin Legal has created some scripts and is ready to put them open source if there is some use. So we are first waiting to see who is ready to adopt, what are the languages and tools that they would like, and it will be a no-brainer to make an open source library to help and automatize the scraping. Any other question? Yes? Arnaud.
In the context of an opt-out, would a publisher be able to discriminate in the same book, for example?
In the same book?
Wait, one part that could be open to.
No, because in the same book, after all, yes. If the book is a web book, I mean, each HTML page of the book has a different URL. And so, yes, you could discriminate. When it's seen as a web book, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. The same directive has Article 5 about the obligation of the publishers to give their books for digital reproducing for academic purposes. It's not data mining, obviously, but in Greece we haven't implemented this directive yet, and it's going to happen in the next 2 months. But our collective organization of copyright is concerned on whether there is a technology to give a license, a specific license, in order to make this happen easier. If we can combine the data mining technology with, because all of our books have to be accessible for educational purposes, an extract of 5 or 10% of the books, which is really, really important to, and I know in some countries it hasn't been implemented yet. So whether these two technologies can be combined in order for us to have a secure license and maybe some payment for...
This is very interesting. This is the first time I hear about the Article 5 and this provision of the Article 5. But for sure, what we have done is some properties to expose something on the web and some policy based on a standard so that the publisher can express details. And so expressing details, which leads to maybe generating a license. So the policy I'm talking about is not the license, is an expression of what can be done, what type of licenses can be expressed. And yes, I'm pretty sure that, well, it has to be studied, but this ODRL part could be also reused for the Article 5. From what you describe, it could be done. And then there could be more volume of, and better dissemination and more adoption in this case. So it's interesting.
And can this technology be combined with payment for this exception?
Now, the policy itself, no, because it says you will need to pay. That's all. Okay. And then the license will say you need to pay this amount. Okay. You, because we make a deal, and the effective payment is elsewhere. So they are, but the technologies can be linked together, which is great. If each technology is used for a module that is well defined, we can later develop more and more stuff. It was thought at the start of this project for the TDM to say, okay, where do we stop? So we say, at the moment, for this version 1, we stop at the level of the policy. The publisher says, I'm ready to do this or that. Then, if there is a strong adoption, we may go to the generation of a license. And if there is a need, we will maybe standardize the payment of the license.